companies that have full control. And specifically, why is it not a good outcome? I think it's not a good outcome because, for example, for creators, okay, if you're a creator right now and you create, why do you wake up in the morning and go to TikTok and Instagram, right? You go there not because of the content that TikTok and Instagram produce, but because of the content that users produce, right? And so how does TikTok make money? They make money through advertising. They take all of the money they make from advertising. They have very de minimis creator funds, but they're like less than 1% of the revenue. But outside of that, they take all of the money. And so they make it very hard, music, Spotify. It's a great service. By the way, I love all these services. They're great. But, musicians, of the 8 million musicians on Spotify, 14,000 make $50,000 a year or more, which is roughly the average American salary, and the rest don't. And so this architecture of consolidating power in these 5 companies is bad for, I would argue, it's bad for creative people.
Why do you think the consumer at scale, as a herd, allowed that to happen?
I think they created better experiences, frankly. I think things like RSS were, you remember this, they were clunky. You had to set up your own domain. You had to...
friction.
Yeah, and also, by the way, I talk about this in the book, I got through it. I used YouTube as a case study. They did heavy subsidization. So the original value proposition of YouTube in 2005 when they launched was it's really easy to host video, and by the way, it's free because we'll pay for it. Yeah. And they raised billions of dollars of venture capital and subsidized it.
By the way, I wanted to launch Wine Library TV 3 years before I did. I went to my tech team and said, I want to make wine videos. They're like, okay. I'm like, tell me how much it's going to cost.
Yeah.
They said, okay. They came back and they said, for every 15-minute video you put up, because that was my guess of how long it would take me, they're like, for every 100 people that are going to watch it, it was some I was like, what?
And that's what you had to do if you used RSS.
That's right.
Right. So that's why so what happened is venture capital, the industry I work in, came along and said, hey, you know what? We think this will be so valuable someday. And YouTube today, by the way, Wall Street Analyst is part of Google, but Wall Street analysts say it's worth $140 billion.
Right.
And so the VCs correctly said, someday the prize is so big that we'll give you, let's call it $10 billion to subsidize it, beat RSS, and then eventually it'll be worth $140 billion. That was sort of the calculation the VCs of that era made, and correctly. A lot of them did very well. Yeah. These are very valuable. Meta's worth whatever, I don't know, $700 billion or
something. I also
something.
think the thing that I knew, which is why I bet the farm on social, was attention is the asset. Mm-hmm. And when you're on GaryVaynerchuk.com, you have to muster up the demand all by yourself. When you were on Twitter.com/GaryVee, you're getting by accident awareness.
That's right.
All these creators that come to me and they're like, I hate the platforms. I'm like, you were 0 in your living room. Yep. You went on and you made content and you paid 0 for a whip. When you advertise to get people to know about something, you pay. Yep. And that was so valuable that it created the consolidation.
Yeah, I call it come for the tool, stay for the network is sort of the pattern I call it. So you come for the tool. YouTube says, meaning it's sort of a single, like, hey, you come there because they subsidize it and it's easy to do video.
And to me,
but then over time, it's because of the distribution.
And to me, my interpretation is come for the attention, stay for the attention.
Yeah.
You